So, what do you want in life, Kevin Von Erich?
I want to be with my family. You know, be.
Don't buy wigs that come off at the wrong time. Maury's wigs don't come off! Even underwater. Don't forget about money. You can afford a Maury wig. Buy wigs that come off at the wrong time.
Come on,
visit
Maury,
your
let's go.
sweetheart.
Jimmy's waiting,
Yeah.
and past due.
Henry, you're a good kid, but there's something quite unreasonable going on here. I never had.
Well, you're the tallest cutie patootie I've ever seen.
You're the shortest one I've ever.
Ah, come on. What a cutie patootie.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm talking about you.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, this guy single?
Possibly.
You know who you remind me of?
Who's that?
A really handsome guy.
I like you, man.
Jeez Louise, is this guy single?
I am, yes.
Well, you're the tallest cutie patootie I've ever seen.
You're the shortest one I've ever.
Ah, come on. What a cutie patootie.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm talking about.
Morning, Daddy.
Oh, morning, baby.
Get the mail?
Yep.
Alright, whatever, let's go. Let's go get some weed real quick, you feel me? Let's go get some weed, boy.
I couldn't believe that because there was one guy I shot, I don't know how many times the other day, and he would not die, and he was killing me from across the map. One time I was driving a vehicle, and he threw some kind of a metal tube around my car, blew me up. So I was inside of this metal. Oh, there's tons of new shit on here that I don't hadn't seen before. Like the animals. There wasn't animals on here last time I played. The animals, there's different jobs that I've never seen before.
Let's go. Let's go. Got some new weed. Let's go.
If it isn't my creepy silent friend, how can I help? Okay, going dark. You've got 1 minute.
It's a mystery. Let it come and let it be.
And we call high blood pressure hypertension. But when it comes to have you ever wondered why blood pressure is so important? I mean, this is a vital that is checked during nearly every visit with a healthcare provider. And besides giving us some important information on the current status of the cardiovascular system, blood pressure, or at least high blood pressure, is known as a silent killer. Because over time, if left untreated, have you ever wondered why blood pressure is so important? I mean, this is a vital that is checked during nearly every visit with a healthcare provider. And besides giving us some important information on the current status of the cardiovascular system, blood pressure, or at least high blood pressure, is known as a silent killer. Because over time, if left untreated, it can increase your risk of stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, and even aneurysms. So today, we're going to define what blood pressure is, the numbers you want to have, how to measure it, and things that you can do to keep it at healthy levels. So, let's jump right into this anatomical and physiological observation. So before I show you some really cool things on this body, I want to start by saying that blood pressure, like many other processes in the human the body follows the Goldilocks principle. You don't want the blood pressure too low, and you don't want the blood pressure too high. You want it just right or just enough to perfuse the tissues throughout the body with enough blood. If it's too low, these tissues won't get enough oxygen. And if it's too high, or at least too high for an extended period of time, that increased pressure can literally damage the tissues and even damage things like blood vessels, which can lead to other health conditions that we'll talk about in a little while. Now, you may have experienced a temporary decrease in pressure, say like a brain, when you stand up too quickly and you get a little lightheaded. But overall, the vast majority of people deal with too high of blood pressure rather than too low. And we call high blood pressure hypertension. But when it comes to understanding blood pressure, we need to realize that blood is a fluid, and fluids exert pressure on the walls of the container that they fill. Like how water in a hose would exert pressure on the walls of the hose, or water in a balloon would exert pressure on the walls of the balloon. So blood pressure is the force of the blood pushing against the walls of your arteries as the heart pumps blood throughout the body. So if you look at the drawing over here on the whiteboard, you can see as the blood is pumping through the artery, it's also going to exert pressure on the wall of that artery. And the equation for blood pressure is blood pressure equals cardiac output times systemic vascular resistance. Cardiac output is the amount of blood pumped out of the heart per minute, which is influenced by heart rate and how forcefully the heart contracts with each beat. And in general, as cardiac output goes up, so does blood pressure. Systemic vascular resistance is the amount of resistance created by the blood vessels throughout the body. We could spend a lot of time on systemic vascular resistance, but think of this resistance being influenced by the tone of the blood vessels, like how constricted or how relaxed the smooth muscle is in the arterioles. Generally, more constriction increases blood pressure. The length of the blood vessels also influences vascular resistance and blood pressure, as well as the compliance of the blood vessels. And what I mean by compliance is, if you look at this aorta, and you can see me poking it and just bouncing up and down on the aorta, you can see that it recoils. And that's what I mean by compliance. Arteries have elastic connective tissue built into the wall. And so if the blood gets pushed into an artery that's healthy and is compliant, that artery will stretch. But it won't just stretch once the blood gets pumped into it. After it stretches, it will recoil. And what that does is it'll shoot the blood further downstream. And that's free. And what I mean by free is that it doesn't require any extra ATP or any extra work by the heart. It's easier on the heart to pump into a nice, stretchy, compliant artery. Think of the opposite, like a diseased or atherosclerotic artery that's stiff and non-compliant, and the heart tries to pump into that. You don't get that stretch and recoil, and so overall, that will be harder on the heart and will increase blood pressure. And this is one of the many reasons why you want to have healthy arteries. You often hear about the link of cholesterol and plaque buildup in the arteries. Yes, plaque building up in the arteries can occlude and block the arteries, and sometimes those plaques can rupture and travel further downstream and cause all sorts of different problems, but it also can stiffen the arteries and make them less compliant, again, potentially raising blood pressure. And with all this talk about blood pressure, I want to mention something that helps to take some pressure off of me, and that's the sponsor of today's video, Grammarly. As a medical provider, anatomy and physiology teacher, and with running our education team here at the lab, I'm constantly working across multiple platforms, such as Google Docs, Slack, Canva, as well as addressing a lot of emails. So in other words, I have a lot of writing to do, and I want to ensure that my writing is clear, professional, and impactful. And this is where Grammarly comes in. Grammarly is my AI writing partner that helps me get my work done faster with higher quality writing. And again, what sets Grammarly apart is that it works where I work, across over 500,000 apps and websites, which means no more copying and pasting, unlike other AI tools. For instance, I use Grammarly to help me generate an outline for a video script on Google Docs. And once I'm ready to post on YouTube or Instagram, I use Grammarly's rewrite feature. Millions of professionals and 96% of users report that Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. And here's one of the best parts. Grammarly is free to use and try out. So sign up and download it for free using my link, grammarly.com/IOHA. Thanks again to Grammarly for sponsoring today's video. And now, let's get back to blood pressure. Now, I'm sure all of you have had your blood pressure checked at some point in your life. And blood pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury and recorded with two numbers. Systolic pressure, which is the top number, represents the pressure in your arteries when your heart beats. The second number, or the bottom number, is the diastolic pressure and represents the pressure in your arteries when your heart rests between beats. So for example, if your blood pressure is 120, 120 is the systolic pressure, and 80 is the diastolic pressure. And so where do you want your blood pressure to be? For normal blood pressure, you would want your systolic pressure to be less than 120, and your diastolic pressure to be less than 80. Elevated blood pressure is a systolic reading between 120 to 129, and a diastolic less than 80. Stage 1 hypertension is when systolic is between 130 and 139, or diastolic between 80 and 89. Stage 2 hypertension is when systolic is 140 and above, or diastolic is 90 or higher. Now, it is very important that you measure the blood pressure properly because obviously we want the numbers to be as accurate as possible. And the proper way to measure blood pressure is to have the person relax, sitting in a chair, feet on the floor and back supported for at least 5 minutes before taking the reading. You also want to avoid caffeine, exercise, and smoking for at least 30 minutes before taking the measurement, as well as to ensure that the bladder is empty, so you want to use the restroom prior to taking the blood pressure. Also, the patient and the observer should not talk during the rest period or during the measurement, and the arm should be supported like maybe resting on a desk.
Get off the
on their
bike,
side.
ugly
Now,
boy.
sometimes all of these steps don't always occur in a clinic, and this could be due to the type of clinic or the reason why someone is at the doctor's office. For example, I work in urgent care. It's a pretty fast-paced environment where we don't manage long-term conditions such as hypertension. We're managing urgent conditions. And often patients are sick or injured, so this can temporarily elevate the blood pressure.
Pussy ass
And
bitch.
so in some of these cases, we may take those mild elevations with a grain of salt. But in a family practice,
You're one. There you go. The fuck? Ugly as fuck, bro.
Morse Mutual, how can I be of service? Sure.
Ugly big nose bitch. Stop trying to be edgy and get on YouTube. Boy. Why you gotta play like a shitter? Why you gotta play like a shitter, bro? You start with the bike and then you think you're good with the fucking thing? Why you gotta play like a shitter, bro? Why you gotta play like a shitter? For what? Why you gotta play like a shitter? Why you gotta play like a shitter, huh? Let's go fuck him up. Here we go. Here we go. Wanna go? Are we gonna go? Are we gonna go? Yeah, get the fuck out of here, dude. Pussy ass motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here, man. You're a fucking pussy. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Get your stupid ass little bicycle. Get the fuck out of here.